Islam. Islam.
Islam.
All right, all right. Before we do the roll call,
Islam.
Islam, everyone. It's good to be in the number. Yes. Before we begin the roll call, before we do the roll call, we're gonna start with the prayer. We have the Wampum 7 Air Corps Confederate Constitution offers thanks to the earth where humanity dwell, to the streams of water, the pools, the springs, and the lakes, to the maize and the fruits, to the medicinal herbs and trees, to the forest trees for their usefulness, to the animals that serve as food and give their pelts for the clothing, to the great winds and the lesser winds, to the thunders, to the sun, the mighty warrior, to the moon, to the messenger of the Creator, who revealed his wishes, and to the great Creator who dwells in the heaven above, who gives all the things useful to men, and who is the source and the ruler of health and life. Islam, everyone. Once again, we'll we have right now. We'll give the attendance the roll call. Islam,
Islam, Tazarna Kiribay, Provincial Government, Elodium Haru Martinium, Provincia with the Colorado Territory.
Islam,
Sonali Bay, Alexander, Louisiana Territory.
Islam.
Islam,
Marcus L. Bay, Michigama Republic.
Islam,
Islam, Brian DeMar Bay, Michigan Republic.
Islam,
Sonali Bay.
Islam.
Sonali Bay from Alexander, Louisiana Territory.
Islam,
Islam. Gabonde Wase. Alodia Moorish, Colorado.
Islam,
Islam, Sharon Morris Bay, Michigama Territory.
Islam,
Islam, Dion Christian Bay, Cleveland, Ohio Territory.
Islam,
Islam. Sakan Ra, Florida Territory.
Islam,
Islam, Sarai Yahudi Bay, Pennsylvania Republic.
Islam,
Islam. Abdullah Siddiqui Al Karim El Ben Vance Branday, United Republic of Chautauqua, Miami.
Islam,
Islam. Yashu Il, Ohio jurisdiction.
Islam, anyone else?
Islam, Angel Bay, upstate New York.
Islam,
Well, that's over me. I cannot do it.
Repeat that. Anyone else? All right. We'll have others that jump on later. Now, those who have registered for the Sojourner's course, the uh the notice for the registration information, the login will go out Thursday and Friday, and you'll check your inboxes, your either your spam All right. So the registration information, the login information will go out Thursday and Friday of this week. So we know that with the class coming this Saturday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And those who have not registered for the course, let me tell you a little about the course. This 12-week Juris course is designed to teach the principles of how Moorish treaties benefit the Moors as creditors and protect them from being debtors of a foreign power. Further, the students will be taught how Moorish treaties are enforced through government structure. In addition to treaty and government study, students will learn how to structure, file, and serve cases, write writs, answers, affirmative defenses, reconsideration, and memorandum of law. Enroll now. You go to enroll and to pay for the course, you go to UnitedRespublicAmorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence. Once again, UnitedRespublicAmorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence. Yours truly, Abdullah Il Tanimosi Bey and Chim Malagai Bey will be the instructors. So looking forward to seeing you this Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And once again, the registration, the login information for the course will go out this Thursday and Friday. Thank you. Anyone else has logged in? We have the Modulus rules of order. No recording online. Zoom, keep mic muted during meeting until your selected time to speak during Q&A. Hold all questions until Q&A section. Zoom, select raise hand button. It's 5 minutes or less per question. Minimum communication in the chat to allow for participants to focus on the presentation. Divinity of man, mind, and thought as the basis of the formation of contract. Divinity of man, mind, and thought as the basis of the formation of contract. The first form of contract, constitution, is created through the divinity of the mind. The elements of contract, constitution, are based in the law of nature and nature's God. Now, the understanding divinity, the unseen world, the things where the third degree they use, say in Masonic orders, the third degree is emblematic of the third dimension. The third dimension is a plane where things are made manifest. So the unseen world, and what you see when you see an acorn or seashell, you see the structure of the human body. You see a crystal, snowflake. You see different designs on animals or snakes. You're seeing flowers. You're seeing the structure being unfolded or manifested, which begins in the unseen world. We have to come to that knowledge, begin to understand that relationship of divine law and civil or national law. There's their understanding what is that connection. So it begins in restructuring our minds to our ancient culture of divinity, laying the foundation. So let's look at what is astrology and astronomy used for. Now there are ages every 2,160 years. The vernal equinox moves 30 degrees in retrogression. A great year is a completion of that cycle. That's 12 times, representing 25,920 years. So looking at the ages, understanding this knowledge, we can see forth or project into the future. Also go back. Use the past knowledge of astronomical structure and also project it into the future. This is the knowledge that we have to come to govern. When you see various images, the cross, or you see the 8-pointed star, you see the Galactic Cross, you'll see statues. They call it Egyptian statues holding an ankh and the hands crossed. This represents the Galactic Cross. Now this here, you have what's called the Galactic Equator. You also have the Celestial Equator. You have your Earth Cross, which is your 4 seasons, and you have your Galactic Cross. All night orders use the 8-pointed star. In Sumerian clay tablets, you'll see the 8-pointed star, and below the 8-pointed star is the crescent moon. What does this all mean? So you see that 8-pointed cross is the intersection of the celestial equator, which is in the Earth cross, and the galactic equator. That intersection forms the double cross. You double cross me. All right? That intersection occurs every 12,500 years. This knowledge is preserved through symbolism. Like I said before, all night orders, Knights Templar, Knights of Malta, Knights of St. Stephen's, Knights of St. John's, Knights of Calatrava, use the 8-pointed cross. The Royal Ark Masons and their banner have 4 images. A bull representing Taurus, a lion representing Leo, an eagle representing Scorpio, because the eagle is used. Then you have a man representing Aquarius. What does that mean? Those are the markers of the previous age. Today, the vernal equinox, Aries, is where the vernal equinox is. So when the sun is in Aries, that ushers in the vernal equinox or spring. But that doesn't occur 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 consecutive years. That only occurs for 2,100 years, consecutive years. And then what I said, you have what's called your vernal equinox that shifts 30 degrees every 2,060 years. This knowledge is important to govern. Why is this important, Abdullah? Because when an age ushers in, new age comes in, you have a great calamity in certain areas. So if you don't have this knowledge, as I said before, you look forward, the eagle and the all-seeing eye. The eagle's used because the eagle can see far distance. So this knowledge is used so we can see far distance into the future, as well as into the back, into the past. So if you need to move 500,000 people from one area, a great calamity is going to be upon us in 50 years. You have time. This knowledge is important. You can't govern without this. So you see that 8-pointed cross in the Confederate flag, which is our culture. That's the Galactic Cross. So this knowledge is being preserved. But we look at, so we can't see this as mere symbolism. Come to understand its function and power. What is the power of this knowledge? The all-seeing eye, representing divine insight, intuition, to seership. Why is seership is important? Be able to see, be able to look at the unseen world. As you look into the unseen world, shapelessness. I say, oh man, we got to get our house in order. So you must build your civilization. We must go back to those civilization. Must restore the ancient knowledge of civilization so that we can restore a better future, build a better future for our children and our relatives and families and co-workers. You need this knowledge. This is constitutional framework. This is constitutional framework. This is constitutional template. The constitutional template is restructuring our minds. Let's look at the apron. I wear the apron with the compass and square. And above the compass and square is the all-seeing eye, rays of light emanating from the eye. That compass and square is a bow compass and a plummet square. You have your bow compass, so you're using to draw circles and use for measurements. And your plummet square, you'll see that with the Navy will have a map, and they'll have a bow compass, measuring the distances. This is the application of this knowledge. So this be able to navigate in the high seas. So we're teaching you to navigate our people back, navigate our communities with this knowledge. This is the rudder and sextant here. So that the G in the middle of the compass and square stands for geometry. Geometry is used to unlock the code of the unseen world. So the code on the unseen world is embodied in the shapes of seashells, the human body, crystals and snowflakes. That's why geometry is important. That is the blueprint of unlocking the knowledge of creation. So the knowledge of creation is unfolded on the plane where things are made manifest. The third dimension or the third degree, as I'm explaining what these mean, the application of it. So it's not just something to say that's good, the plane where things are made manifest. The third degree or third dimension. What does that mean? How do we apply this to rebuild our communities? To bring our people back into treaty protection. To bring our people back at home. Home means lost in it because we're lost in our minds. It's a mental loss. They're already home, but their minds are not there. Body is home, but mind is not home. Our people's bodies are home, but their mind is not home. So we got to get our people's minds back home. And that's what we are facilitating. The laws of nature and nature's God. The laws of nature and nature's God, that's in the Declaration of Independence. God, from the Sanskrit word kuda. So kuda, which means to invoke. The Christ, which is the oil, the anointment. Anoint means to smear with oil. So the oil is secreted in the pineal gland. That's the Christ. The seat of the Christ is here, the pineal gland. The sun stimulates the serotonin and melatonin in the brain, activating the Christ. This is the seat of Christ. So this understanding. So when you say the Christians, the defenders of the faith, this is what they're defending. For themselves, though, which they're not Christians. So the Albions are defending this for themselves and locking us out of it because they don't want us to go into the unseen world so that we can straighten things out in the unseen world. We got to do our work in the unseen world. So the all-seeing eye again is that insight into the unseen world. So you use the all-seeing eye, the pyramid with the capstone, the all-seeing eye, and the ego as divine providence. Pro means forth, vid means see. Astronomy, knowledge is used to be able to see forth. Then you also have your divine seership. When the seed of Christ is activated, then now you can see. You can see. You're seeing. You're seeing. Not with these eyes. All right, so today, the Albion that uses our title Pope, they call the place the Holy See, S-E-E. The Holy See, S-E-E. Holy, Higlig. Higlig means he burns, sun. So the Holy See, the sun stimulating the seed of Christ He has our staff, our royal staff. And on our royal staff are two snakes intertwined, ascending to a pine cone. So the snakes are symbolic of the Kundalini energy, the regeneration of life, the renewal of seership, the renewal of insight, the reactivation of the seed of Christ. So he declares to the world, I am the seer of the world. I am the seer of the world. The cross keys of Chaldea, the Galactic Cross, the staff with the two intertwined snakes with the pine cone, the mitre in the shape of a fish, fertility, the matriarchal or matrilineal principles where wealth, inheritance, and property passed down to the motherline in the family. I am the seer of the world. That's our culture. It's imperative we come to comprehend what we see. They're using our ancient culture. The defenders of the faith, locking us out. The defenders of the faith, the defenders of ancient knowledge, the defenders of ancient knowledge used to build civilization, the defenders of the faith. Talk to me. When are we going to become the defenders of the faith? When are we going to become the defenders of the faith? My Christian brothers and sisters, as I speak to you, become the defenders of the faith. Knight orders, Knights of Templar, Knights of St. John's of St. Stephen's, Knights of St. John's of Collegiate, Knights of St. John's of Hospitality, and the other knight orders. If you use our 8-pointed star, we are the defenders of the faith. We are defenders of the faith. We are the defenders of our ancient knowledge, our ancient customs, rituals, holidays. We're the defenders. We are the Christians who are defenders of the faith. I'm not going to allow them to reconstruct words and steal our birthright and our culture. I'm not going to bow down and acquiesce to distorted, reconstructed meanings. So I'm placing, we're the defenders of the faith, placing these words and these images in their proper context. That's the power. The power is our being united with this knowledge and operating in government structure with this knowledge. That's the power. Becoming the defenders of the faith. Act as the Christians as we are. We're the defenders of the faith. We're going to defend our faith, the ancient knowledge and wisdoms of our customs, astronomy, astrology, geometry. The defenders of the faith. Laws of nature, nature's God. So we are invoking the seed of Christ. Divine law is the mother of positive law. The ethers. Positive law received her existence from divine law, which is the unseen power of an infinite civilization of celestial form, shapes, images that designing engineer developed, built, and constructed this world for the nature people to live together as nations. Once again, the unseen world. So to look at which is built, trees and the shapes of pine cones and leaves, flowers, and so forth, has a genetic code, a genetic code, which is unlocked with the knowledge of geometry. That's why that G. Reclaim our culture, become the defenders of the faith. When are we going to become the defenders of the faith? We're not going to allow you, our beyonds, to take. We're the defenders of the faith. We're the Christians. We're not going to allow them to reconstruct the meanings anymore. We are defining. We are defining. We're going back to the etymology, the original meaning. Whoever defines the language controls the issue. We will control the issue with the knowledge of etymology, linguistics, epistemology, pragmatics, discourse, semantics, grammar, philology, morphology, phonology. We will define our destiny. We will define the language. As long as we bow to them on their definitions, they will continue to usurp our sovereignty. They usurped our sovereignty by you taking a definition that they construct and you show me, well, this is what, no, they constructed that definition to steal our birthright, to usurp our sovereignty, to place us in their foreign jurisdiction so that we wouldn't be able to find our way home. When I get home and when I get back there, there are things that will grow in. Let's come back home. Religious ceremonies protected. Wampum 99. Haudenosaunee Confederacy. This is the Iroquois Confederation Constitution. Wampum number 99. The rights and festivals of each nation shall remain undisturbed and shall continue as before, because they were given by the people of old times as useful and necessary for the good of men. Haudenosaunee Iroquois Confederacy. The 7 Hermetic principles. 7. The 7 Hermetic principles. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. Now, these principles, how we rebuilt our communities, how civilizations maintained the knowledge of these 7 principles. The principles of correspondence. Now, let's go back to the principle of mentalism. The all-seeing eye. The pyramid with the all-seeing eye is tied to this principle here. The all is mind, the universe is mental. The universe is she is breathing and living And you can use geometry to see the shapes of the universe. Our thoughts are made manifest because your thoughts can be measured. There's an instrument that can measure, because you're looking at frequency, that can measure your thoughts. As a man thinketh, so is he. As a man thinketh, so is she. Man comes from the word hermes or humanity. Humanity. Man is short for humanity. The law of correspondence. As above, so below, and as below, so above. The six-pointed star is the image that represents this law. You have your as above, so below, and as below, so above. When you see the layout of cities, what we did was replicated that which is in the universe to that which is on earth. We mirrored that. So we need to mirror that in principles so that we can be in harmony with that which is above and express that which is below in government structure and constitutional structure with this knowledge. The principle of vibration. Things rest, everything moves, everything vibrates. You say things, this right here is moving. You silly, Abdullah. I am silly means happy. This moving, it is. The molecules are close together and moving very slowly. There's instruments that can measure this vibration. Everything vibrates. The principles of rhythm, principles of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pairs or opposites. Hot, cold, up, down. So you have these opposites dealing with those principles. The principles of rhythm. The pendulum swings manifest in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. As we continue to attend these classes and continue to build, that energy that we're putting forth is going to manifest in our communities. Good deeds swing, bad deeds. So you like a rhythm here. The principles of cause and effect. Everything has its effect. Every effect has its cause. That call in the Bible says you reap what you sow. So you reap good thoughts and good deeds. You sow in return will be good deeds and actions and thoughts. And you reap bad action and bad deeds, the return. So there's a cause and effect. The principles of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. So this is also tied with the duality. So you have your masculine and your feminine. In us, we have the masculine as well as the feminine side. for particularly males, we have to come to balance that. There's too much of imbalance, too much masculine and not, which means aggression. It's not, we have to come to a balance. We're getting to more connected to our feminine side, compassion, balance. All right. So constitutional framework, I'm going to bring up Shem Malachi Bey, principles that govern nations. Principles that govern nations. All right. Thank you again.
Shall I go? Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate Professor Abdullah. Man, makes me want to just sit down and just listen, keep listening. Because, this is, he's filled with that knowledge. And he's trying to give it to his fellow brothers and sisters Moors. So I really appreciate Professor Abdullah. Let me see. Thank you, Professor. I appreciate that. I really appreciate Professor Abdullah. And as I say, Professor Abdullah tells it like it is. You don't cut no corners. You don't take no sides when it comes down to norms, facts, and truth. You can be close to him or his friend. But guess what? His first principle is truth. So I thank Professor Abdullah for doing what he do. He always do best. He brings to knowledge and light the truth of the matter of where we fell from and where we have to climb back up and get to. And I thank Noble Tamara for putting together the diagrams and the points, bullet points, and strategy the Nobles put together for us. What you're seeing here today is created by this Noble Tamara. So we wouldn't have got this far if it weren't for Tamara. So we have to give applause to Tamara and the audience there, because a part of this is because she cares, she's sincere. As a matter of fact, she even take her personal time and sacrifice, even on her work level, her work schedule. She make a point in time to set aside and do this for the Moors. So we know we got to straighten our act up now, because there's a sacrifice being done here. And this is part of culture. When you love your people, you'll sacrifice for culture. What we have here today is a principle that governs nations. We're dealing with culture. In culture is where the civilizations of the earth do have traditions, ceremonies, festivals, customs, and riots. And when I go to where we've got to go to now, is we're going to break down Ritz, what this is all about, so we can get back to the maturity level, not in stature, like Professor Abdul said, physical body, in our divinity state. Get back to what that was put into us, man and woman, from the beginning. We have to get back there. What is positive law? These are the first principles that the first civilizations handed down as a foundation for future people nations to which to be governed. These are the first principles of early civilizations that was used to create government among each other as a people. As a people. Also, these principles were first handed down to the Moors by the seers, which we heard Professor Abdullah broke into that. The ambassadors of the divine cosmic galactic order of the universe. Now, anytime one is chosen to represent by the divine cosmic galactic order of the hierarchy. That seer becomes an ambassador because she or he represents the first order, the unseen. They represent that first order. So they have to be an ambassador. Why? Because they come to the nations of the earth telling them what they must do to stay on this earth because it's not theirs. It belongs to a lowly entitled of the unseen world. So we must, we are tenants. We as tenants have to do what the landlord say of the first order. I bet Professor Abdullah went over that. But you cover a lot of ground. Appreciate you. You don't appreciate this, man, just go up there, go in the building, or go and jump in front of the train because you ain't no good. Get rid of yourself because you ain't no good in this plane. You ain't helping us. The 8-point stars symbolize the intersection of the celestial equator and the galactic equator, which occurs every 12,500 years. What is positive law? Continue. Our ancient mothers and fathers laid down ancient civilization on principles of divine law. We must restore the ancient divine principle to structure our provincial governments. Professor Abdullah went over that. The first civilization acting on the ancient principles as the Moorish Moroccan people that are responsible for all the great architect of building their own natural civilization on earth. As a population of people operating and living on the land, earth, breath, the air, which is the atmosphere, fish and cell, the water, sea, body of the waters. We have to get back to this principle. What is negative law? Negative law is created to change the foundation structure in which early civilizations set a cornerstone tradition for her descendants, kinsmanship heirs, to carry on as a people with inherent rights on the land, air, and water for future survival in their countries as a population of people living on the earth. Now, before I go to the next page, I'm a linger on this because this is very important. You have divine law, which Tamara have here, the principle. All this that you see here under the umbrella of the principle that governs nations' culture, traditions, ceremonies, festivals, customs, and riots. Oh, a little bit? Yes. The principle that governs nations, culture. This principle here. Now, tradition, ceremonies, festivals, customs, and riots. Now, let me say something. And I'm glad Noble Tamara and Rich. Yes. Tamara, I was talking downstairs, and Tamara say, Shim, we got positive law, but we have to define how did positive law come into existence. In other words, it wasn't nature, natural, that brought positive law into existence. It was divine law, like she said. And this is something she said we was teaching. And I remember reflecting back that we taught that the divinity in your body, the body is the Bella, which is the estate. It works for the divinity. So the divine mind is a man of itself, not a natural man, but it's of the higher form of celestial life. It tells your body what to do because it's responsible, because the day your mother pushed you forward, you are responsible for that tabernacle, that body, that natural body that you got. And no one can tell it what to do but you. You are the one that have been given, first of all, you're given that right by your mother. Because soon you come out, your mother start nourishing you and telling you what to do. She start ordering you and she start commanding you. And it's your job to obey what your mother say. That principle has been ripped off. And she teaches you as you go along that you are responsible for what you do yourself. These are principles. Listen to me. These are principles of a high order that was stolen from us through brainwash. So somebody says, Shim, well, what is negative law? Is to deny you this. Is to deny you the right to be governed as a nation under your own culture, your ancient culture, which takes away your traditions, your ceremonies, your festivals, your customs, and your riots. What is it all is here, Shem culture? Law, ordinance, covenants, codes, policy, name it. It all comes from what? The divinity. They deny you the right to practice your own culture, and they deny you the right to look back to the divinity, the unseen, which put into existence the real existence. They're not going to allow you to see that. So what they do? They apply negative law. That means they deny you law. They deny you the right on the land, the earth. They deny you the right in the air, the atmosphere. They deny you the right on the bodies of waters, which is the sea. What they deny you the right on land, air, and water. They deny you the principle to govern culture. They deny you the right to your traditions, ceremonies, festivals, and customs and riots on your own land. Rich. On your own land. You deny the principle of that because with that, you need that to form government and assemble yourself together as a people to govern your affairs on the earth as our ancient ancestors did. Yep. And that's why I say when I first got knowledge of the Iroquois Confederacy Constitution, this is when I fell in love with it. In 2008, I said, whoa, where this come from? Because didn't nobody tell me about it. See, didn't nobody say nothing about it. So I read that thing. No one said, you know, went crazy about that Constitution. Then I heard people talk about, oh, they was mixed. I said, look at these people. Moors talking against the Constitution. They was talking against that Constitution. Moors was talking against that Constitution. And two, formula, I've been knowing Abdullah for a lot of years. That's woke me up. Abdullah literature, let me say it right now today. Where I'm at today was because I met Abdullah Bey. And Abdullah Bey was laying down status and language. And he changed my life. I couldn't believe this man was talking like that. So what I did was I tried to buy everything he got. He should buy a nice little van and stuff. He had his stuff in their table. I tried to buy everything he got. Then later on, I reconnected with him through was told to me by a seer that I was going to run across somebody and look, everything falling in place. Look where Professor Abdul, look where we at. I runs across Tamara, Noble Tamara. And guess what happened? I gives Noble Tamara the Constitution, and Tamara came back. And be honestly, Tamara is the only one even to see me and going to that Constitution because she knew the value of that for our people. As a people, she knew the culture that was in that. See, Tamara see the culture. She seen the traditions, the ceremonies, the festivals, the customs, and the riots. I keep saying riots. She's seen that. And good, guess what? And it's right now, Noble Tamara has evolved into what I would call, what Abdullah said, you can't see shapes. You can see, because you don't see the things moving or growing or being created, and they go away and disappear as if they wither and they die. But what brings them back? Divinity, the shapes and forms. So I really appreciate, I have to say that, and I want the caucus to know that we have to stick together and love one another. We have to receive correction, criticism among ourselves. We have to challenge ourselves because we at a state that's real bad. Negative law. Negative law is created to change the foundational structure in which early civilizations set as a cornerstone tradition for her descendants, kinsmanship heirs to carry on as a people with inherent rights on the land, air, water, for future survival in their countries as a population of people living on Earth. Example of negative law, the Bitcoin. Bitcoin. What is the status of one who possessed the coin? 2, What government has the elected population of people which invest the inherent power to regulate and to stand by and enforce the value of the coin? Oh, this you. Oh, okay, we're going to it. Okay. Let me go back. Well, okay, I'll go into it now. That's not a problem. I'll go into it because me, Abdullah, well, you have something in your book on this too. You didn't, I know. You know, you put this. All right. All right. What is the status of one who possessed the Bitcoin? If you were Afro-American, Negro, colored, or black, and you under that status, you have the same status you have with the Bitcoin, the same status you have when you got a quarter in your pocket, a dime, a nickel, and a penny. They coins too. You got the same status. You spend them every day as a Negro. You spend them every day as a Afro-American. You spend them every day as a colored person. You spend them every day as a black man. You call yourself all these race names. And you were spending the coin since the turn of the century, since the old century. Now they come out with a new scam, a fraud, and say Bitcoin. And you say, oh, I can regulate my own money, or I can do this. You can do no such thing. You're deceived. You forgot about the quarter, the $50 piece, the silver dollar piece, the gold piece. You forgot about the ancient money system, that the status of the people does not regulate the value of the money. It's the head of the government. And in that government, if you are the collective body, and that ruler government is part of that Moorish blood pedigree, then y'all consider as an equal level. Why? Because y'all have the same pedigree, y'all have the same nation as nationals. Only thing, he's been put in hierarchy as a national, or as emperor, or a president, or king, whatever you call it. So what is your status when you spun the silver dollar? What is your status when you spun the half a silver dollar? What is your status when you spun a quarter? It's deal with status. It don't change. This new currency don't mean nothing with status. Well, I'm a Moor. Okay, you're a Moor, huh? What part of how you exercising your sovereignty under that flag? See, let's stop playing with each other. Please tell me how you exercising your sovereignty under that flag. See, what the Moors want to do, because I ain't talking to no foreigners. I'm talking to people, my stitches right here. People that consider Moors a consanguinity here in Morocco. You say you're a Moor. I can't take that away from you. You're born with that from your mother. Now, are you a national? Are you exercising your national status? Watch this, because this is well-established law. Under international law, in order to be claim to be something as a national of a government nation, you have to claim the existing sovereignty, the protection of that existing sovereignty, and that is Morocco under that flag. So y'all been put under hallucination. You've been indoctrinated. Oh man, come on! The Bitcoin is licensed and regulated. Why you think it got a licensee? Why you think it got a parent? Why you think you need to go to somebody's umbrella to use the coin? Wake your ass up and you know what's going on. All right, wake up. You sleep. You don't fell asleep. You know how you got that way? Moors giving out the wrong concept. Oh yes, you can put me. You can challenge me. I don't care. I spoke a fact, and I dare somebody to challenge me. When you spun the silver dollar, we're talking about coin, Bitcoin. This is the root to a coin, currency, metal, platinum, copper, gold, silver, brass, and iron. These are the money systems. You telling me now that we in a servitude state? You're going to rise out of servitude and get the protection of your country because you playing with Bitcoins. I hope I woke you up out there. See, I'm not against you. I'm going to show you how we can come and claim. See, It was all settled under the 59th Congress. It's all settled with what Noble Tamara had last Wednesday and the Refugee Act. It made it clear that if you're not under protection of seeking protection of your country, you are a refugee. Now, Moors, oh man, I've been under the Moors. I've been under this Moors government. I've been with this temple. I've been doing this. Listen here. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you to save space and time. All I'm saying, are you under the flag, Moroccan flag, and are you protecting your people? Are you protecting your borders from invasion? Are you protecting your women? Are you on your land or your boats fishing in the water without permission? Can you go and grow cannabis without a license? Can you go and claim land as your land? You know why? You know why? You need a structure. You need a government structure, and you need to claim the protection of your country, Morocco, the motherland. In order to do that, you need to force the treaties. In order to force the treaties, you need a provincial government. In order to force, you need a head of state. It's the only way it's going to be done. I'm going to, that's how, let me expound. I'm going to expound on this about the, okay, proposal of Moorish provincial constitution. I got that in front of me? Okay, I got it. Okay, I see it. Yes. The proposal of Moorish provincial constitutions and government classes. The first order of civilization for Moors is to restore government in our Moorish communities. Now, let me explain what that means. How do you restore something that you lost? You got to look at someone that stole it from your ancestors. You go and learn. But you know when you learn it, you go back and learn your science. You get the degree, but you have to do it under your structure. Without doing it under your structure, you're oppressed. You have to have the Moorish provincial government claim the protection of Morocco as the motherland. Then what we do is to get the people back, you sacrifice to give them an intern of 3 hours to learn them, to get the skills to go out there and compete in the world so they can protect their offsprings, they kinsmanship heirs. You got to be able to protect them. If you don't do it, you know what they're going to say? What college you went to? You go to Notre Dame? You go to this university? They want all the ones that's operating as 501c under the state or the United States jurisdiction. And they will lock you out because you're not protected by your motherland. But when they try to lock you out, then you'll come in with a treaty. I don't have to go into your court. I can sue you in my Moorish court. Then I can have the council take it over as a foreign judgment and put a lien on you. What lien? And you can cash that lien too. See, we got to operate from government. We haven't been doing it. We've been doing individualism. That's why they're putting you in jail. You can see that the Moors going to jail for talking about the judges over offer, putting a lien on them. You're not doing it right. There's no government structure, and you're not protected by your country, your motherland. There's a protocol to go by, procedure. To teach the Moors how to create legitimate governments and constitutional structure in our Moors communities. To teach Moors what kind of government structure that leads the Moors back to ancient government points. Now, I'm going to stop there and say something. When you create in your society, let me use out what we did, the society we have. What gives us the right to help our people? No one should question a body, a group, or a community of people of different providence in areas in Morocco territory when they decided to unite together among themselves and then do a call for you and then said, we're going to help our brothers and sisters to show them how to get back to the motherland. Then when we get back to show the protection we're going to use to protect ourselves of the motherland based on treaty. You can't talk about no people like that. All you can do is this right here, is clap your hand and congratulate them. That's all you can do. Like I say, Noble Tamara been working with me, Professor Abdullah, and she been helping out on her work day, sacrificing her personal time. So we're gonna start respecting each other by saying, let's look at the works. We showing works. Stop looking at people's mouth talking about their reality of 100 years ago or something. Let's talk about works. Let's talk about somebody doing something and looking back. past 100 years, past 150 years, past 200 years. They're looking back all the way to like the 400 BC. Beyond that, they're bringing it up and say, this is what we have to do. Be protected by our mother like a child. I told Tamara, just like a child. When a child is lost and it lost his mother, the child cry. Another mother have a right to pick that child up and adopt that child and nourish it. Now, when you connected to a motherland and you get lost and you don't want to come back and get the protection, you're a refugee. Building infrastructures in the mind as the constitutional template. Constitutional template is the restructured state of mind. What Professor Abdul got up here and taught, opened up elementary for us to know and have knowledge of the Moors as restoration of our traditions, cultures, ceremonies, festivals, customs, riots, rituals, and holidays formerly laid down by ancient mothers and fathers. Got to have, you see that word? Mothers and fathers. That word mother comes in there a lot. Means something. What is the proposal of having provincial governments? That's Abdullah right there. Yep. Professor Abdullah. Okay. To bring the people back under the tree of positive law so as to perform under the principle of our ancient mothers and fathers as the founding civilized people which first inhabit and cultivate the earth. Also, our ancient mothers and fathers set among themselves a political, civic, and economic structure to contract one nation to another. We should be getting a lot of questions on this. How do the Moors get back to positive law? claim our own nationality as a Moor living in a Moorish Moroccan province, region, or territory within Moroccan Empire, as a populations of people banding together independently and separately as a Moorish provincial government, and then come together collectively to sign a treaty among these political bodies as a whole to form a central body government. What do you mean, Shem? We have to learn in our minds that we have the rights and the ability. First of all, we have this right inherent coming out of our mother wombs. Then we have to develop the ability, the maturity. So in the mindset, mental, that we have a right that is not granted to us, it's not a privilege, it is inherent. Listen to me. It is not granted, it is not privileged, it is inherent from our mother. We must capture our minds and get our maturity back right so we can control our body and bring all our states together and form a provincial government. Then once that happens, we have a structure. Once we have a structure, then all of us come together and form an alliance and sign a treaty. Once we sign a treaty, all the provincial governments as a state population of people will come together and claim the protection under our motherland, Morocco, under that flag. We couldn't go wrong when we do that. We would not go wrong if we do that. There's going to be a lot of adversaries. Professor Abdullah is going to take over. Thank you. Shalom. There's going to be a lot of adversaries that's going to be trying to get in our way. Let's just keep on, just ignore them and keep on building. And they'll come a long way, help them out. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Islam. Wonderful job, Shem. As always. Wonderful job. Yes, everyone. All right. So we have the provincial framework. One, we have the declaratory commitment. And on the declaratory commitment, structured in that would be location, in person, Zoom, or hybrid. So when you have your structuring your meetings, you can be either in person, Zoom, and hybrid. And I really encourage you to get the body policies to get a Zoom account, because that will help you facilitate other people as you continue to grow. Because there may be times where people may not be able to attend a particular house or community center or a particular location. So you have Zoom. Date and time. As I mentioned last week, you want to have a structured time and date. For example, if it's once a month, we like same bad time, same bad channel, every third, excuse me, Thursday of the month. Something like that. So that can be that way it can be consistent. Financial treasury budget. So you have a budget because you have your monthly Zoom cost. Like paying for design of a flag, a design of a seal, getting, the embosser, getting flyers made to pass out to the community. So putting together a particular budget. Attendance, take attendance. As I say, have the name of your body politic on your sheet, and you actually take attendance. That's documented, and get a binder, and then actually put the attendance sheets in a binder. Minutes, take minutes. So looking at a how how the meeting is structured, and take minutes. Including your roll call. The any old new business, old business, anything, any things that are questioned or tabled, be structured in the minutes. Communication methods. Proton mail, which is free. We suggest the proton mail. And Tamara broke that down last week. That way, that's a way in which you can send out notices to all the members. And then this is important because you have to have a structure to build. You bring in more people from the community. Zoom and emails and telegrams. OneNote, structure of OneNote, where you can send material, put material into a OneNote, and those who in the community can have access to material. All right, this is very important. You're building, from 5 to 10 to 40 to 100 to 200 to 500 to 1,000 to 2,000. You need to have a structure to build. Zoom, which is $14.99 a month. This is very good, very good. And this is something we need to continue go over every week. Provincial framework, Majlis rules, Majlis parliamentary rules, Moorish provincial body politics name, parliamentary rules. You might want to select a number of rules, parliamentary procedure rules to implement, and then you continue to grow with them. Definitely, we need to do some couple classes on that. Yes, thank you, Tamara. The question, Tamara wants me to. Why is it important that the creation of a name for the body politic, design of a flag or seal, and also a constitution is not done by one person? That is not political legitimacy. That is a violation of parliamentary procedure. That is illegitimate for one person to one a natural person may come up with an idea for a flag design or seal, but it must be voted on. So let's be clear. It has to be voted on. It can't where one person comes up with an idea on flag and seal and there's no voting. You have to have documentation of the voting of a flag on the flag, voting on the seal. It has to be documented in your minutes. Political legitimacy must be documented. So that's the key is political legitimacy. Very important. The recognition has to be among ourselves. We must show ourselves and show the world that we are respecting one another. They're not going to treat with you. The world will not deal with us if we don't have structure that's legitimate. We must come to understand the vital importance of political legitimacy. So the flag and seal must be done, must be voted on and put in the minutes. Who voted yay, who voted nay. A section of a constitution, the edits. So as we are teaching the principles of constitutional construction, because we're beginning with a foundation principle, the framework of divinity. Social sites, very important. Reach out to the community. Pass out a flyer. You may have put information on the Facebook page. Put some lessons on the Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, library. And then you have your flyer that you give out to the community, a particular lesson on there, and they can, for further lessons, go to our Facebook page or our YouTube or Twitter. You also have Instagram. So this is we're here, basic website. As along on the flyer too will be a basic website. Over about business cards, or I said informational flyers or informational what's called a trifold. We have all that information on there on the back. Your website website address, if you have your Facebook address, Instagram or Twitter information, so they can contact you when you have your meeting times on the flyer, as you go out to the community. We have to, as I said last week, reach out to the community. This I love this structure here because this is building. Basic website on the basic website page, you will have about us page. People, what do you know about us? The name of the body politic, information about the body politic. Contact us page, mission, strategy page, schedule events would be your meeting times and dates and location. So we have to get out of the comfort zone of 3 or 4 nationalized Moors. And there's no plan to grow beyond that. And it's 3 or 4, and a month from now, there's 3 or 4. 2 months from now, 3 or 4. 3 months from now, 5 or 6. 6 months from now, 9 to 10. That's not good. There's a problem with that. Got to reach out to the community. Let's build this structure. For some of us, it will take some time, but begin to build this structure. Maybe we'll have Tamara Eo do a little session on this section here, and may fill in questions on the provincial framework structure. I would. This Tamara Eo maybe do an hour presentation from a project management perspective. So we still put something together, Tamara, and with your project management knowledge, help facilitate this provincial structure among the body politics. All right, great, great, great. She's open. She's open. All right. 6, community campaign. The the community campaign, we had the flyer, community campaign flyer. It's something like have a, you know, as you see, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Come up with some type of campaign flyer. Such, like something, that's catchy. All right. So this is a unity campaign flyer. We have to reach out to the community. You know, got connect with the artists. So this is wonderful. I've never seen anything well structured like this. I mean, it got 27 years, and this is well structured. You know, this is we all of us, all the body politics need to have this, and it'll be over a period of time. Yeah, everybody politic can use it. As far as this campaign, all right, Tamariel saying everybody politic can use this actual flyer, and they can add their one without the UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com, and they can put their particular website or information on there. All right, so absolutely, this is good. This is good. Yes, Mike, please. Tamriel is going to break down the meaning of the flyer. As you see on the screen.
Well, the meaning of the flyer is based into a heavy symbolism, as one can see. You see the 4 birds. Normally, the 4 birds, Aquila, let's say Aquila, the 4 Aquila, which is the eagles, would normally be scattered throughout. We have brought the 4 Aquilas together, which represents we're no longer scattered throughout. We all are back together. You have the crescent star in the waxing position, which means we're in a position of strength, along with the Venus, the 5-pointed star. The Moabitess is no longer in an unconscious state. She's climbing a mountain with the next generation of her son on her back in order to be able to raise the flag of our sovereignty. And you have the ancient wisdom that is told behind her, carrying a staff in the book of Aquarius, which is the book of knowledge. Lock, barrel, and step, climbing up the mountain as we move forward to our position of strength. You have the Zodiac, which is our divine creed and model in which we are governed by, the various characteristics of, the Zodiac constitution. We have the red flag that symbolizes the unite, let's unite, and is held in position by the 3 colored, the red, the black, and the green, which represents the classification of what we have been classified as Black, Negro, and colored. So that represents all of us coming together to be united up under our Moroccan sovereignty. So this was it was just a lot of love placed into this unity campaign. And so we're in I will have a full write-up that will be placed onto the website. And I will also upload the original without the United Republic of Morocco at the bottom. So please feel free to use it within your campaign. It's for all of us. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I guess we can go to question and answer. Q&A. All right. Shem Malachi Bey. All right. You can unmute your mics. Questions. All right.
Islam. I'll start. Yashu from Ohio. The question is, when I was appointed, we created a declaration and placed it on the county public record. So my question is, should we recreate another instrument and keep it on our records or send it into the headquarters?
What's the letter? The letter is sent to the county is a fruitless act. It doesn't mean anything. Now, you don't need a letter. What we're going to teach you to do is bring y'all together as a population of people, and you're going to form a structure, the Constitution for the Moorish provincial government, for your government. Then from the government, the letters can be issued from the head of state, the cabinet that's elected by the governing body of that provincial government. Now, what's going to happen is the letter what you would do, you would sign the letter of unity, and we'll be invited, all of us together, come together and sign a treaty of alliance. Therefore, by signing a treaty, it will enable us to create a national central constitution that will govern all of us under a set principle under international law that be protected under the sovereignty of Morocco, the motherland.
And also, we're adding a section to the website for the Moorish Body Politics to upload their constitution, their seal, and their flag. And so that way we can go ahead and start creating those folders for all the various Moorish Body Politics so we can have on file. So once we have everyone together, we can send the invitation out to the proper head of the governing body politics. So that's a two-part. I answered the second part to Shem because he don't do the administrative work.
Yes, thank you, Noble Tam. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, can I ask a follow-up question? We have an idea about a flag, but we're not for sure how we go about actually creating it physically.
Well, that's why we're teaching to be the maturity in the mind. See, what happened is collectively, the designers who's among y'all of the population will come up with a concept of an engineer drawing. And what happened is when that get constructed, then you would take it to the rest of the population to vote on the symbol that's on that flag. And then once y'all reach a quorum, a unanimous decision of the majority, then that flag will become the national flag for that provincial government. Not natural flag, provincial government flag. That's in your province within Morocco.
This is Marcus L. Bay from the Michigan Territory. So, quick question. Just for those who may be wondering, I'm just going to ask this question. How many people would make up the provincial government in order to come together and vote on a flag and a seal? So if we have 5 people and those 5 people vote, could that flag and seal be used as that provincial government's flag and seal?
It can be used in a temporary framework until you build a population of more Moors that's awakened to not only the Moors' consanguinity physically but mentally, that they right to do this and they right to come back home to the motherland to be protected under the treaties. Now, you can do that for now because you're operating. There's back in ancient biblical times, there have been houses band together and left their nation and went to a foreign land and settled down and became a great nation there. But you notice they grew in population. So Tamara, right, temporarily, because when you grow in population, you want to make sure that you bring the people aware of the political affairs of the founders. I mean, y'all the founders, but you got a population of people that have a right when they become awakened and claim to be a part and support that government and also look for the protection of Morocco. Then you will have to do an amendment, and you will have to amend it and put in there, allow them an opportunity to approve that flag. So that can work. Yes.
Right. So that flag and seal could change, 5 or 6 times possibly.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
That's good, brother. That's good, brother Marcus Bay.
Absolutely. How you doing, brother?
All right. That's good. Yes, sir. Yes. Next question.
Next question. Islam. Question.
Islam,
Yes.
Islam, 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 more peace, peace and love. My question is very, very simple. If I were to contact you brothers, would somebody be willing to assist me to government here at the Khalifa territory?
We're assisting everyone.
Can you hear me?
Yes. So if you were to contact us personally, we're assisting now. I mean, this is came up last week. This is the help now. This is why we're having these Wednesday meetings, classes, and slash meetings. The help is now. We're assisting now. You asked your question. We assist you by answering the question. This is assisting.
Yes.
I don't know what you're seeking. You said to assist you.
So when I begin writing up the Constitution, there may be questions I may have at the time, which may need some detail. That's all I'm saying. Would I be able to get assistance as I'm creating the document per se?
We're going to expand on this lesson. The assistance is now. We're going to continue part 2 next week, then part 3 and part 4. This is not the only lesson. This is just a foundational principle lesson for constitutional framework.
In other words, we won't have the meat in the soup yet. There'll be some meat in the soup.
Yes. Meat in the soup is this the night too. Right. Yeah. This is the foundation. So the assistance is now. Next week, the week after that, the week after that.
We'll expand it.
We'll expand.
You're not going to be left alone.
Yes. And it's much appreciated. Let me say this. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm in the studio. I can't hear myself. The important part, let me just pull this back up on the screen. This was the most fulcrum, which is the pivotal part of the presentation tonight, principles that govern nations. This is actually the constitutional template. In all templates, in all constitutional templates, or constitutions, period, you can use the Haudenosaunee Iroquois Constitution as a guide just to look at. If you're looking at all constitution principles, you will see within the culture, it defines the traditions, it defines the ceremony, it defines the rituals, it defines the customs, and it defines the writs. So this is the template, but we have to get this template back restored within our mental framework before we can even go forward to even put it on paper. So that was the premises for tonight. Islam.
Next question.
Thank you.
Next question. Next question.
All right, I'll ask another one. Excuse me. All right, through alienation, how do we go about filling out the SS5 form?
That is to be for government structure. So as we build government structure and you learn government structure and you put together your constitution, then and your population, then we can go into how the government, that's right, it could be the co-trustee to do that, help you with that, because after all over with, when you go to these agencies, they want to know exactly what identity you have and what government you're from. So by us saying that we from Morocco, existing Moorish provincial government under the Morocco, which is the flag is raised everywhere, and which is the internet, a most favored nation, then they will give you, through your government will contract with them for you, and then they will give you a contract with these agencies based on treaty. You say alienation, mean that means you're not a non-resident, a non-United States national. So you are alien, mean you're not bound by these political jurisdictions. You're protected by treaty. So you have to be under your motherland flag, which is Morocco. Then you would know how to properly, but actually tell the truth, there's some forms you would never fill out. You would do it from your national status, and you just will use the contract name as a British subject to do business for you, to represent you. That's all you would do. So we as I said, we didn't get there yet. We got you. Don't worry about it. We got you.
Questions? We got in caucus members. Questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
Oh, you can go first.
All right, thank you, Islam. I just have a quick question. Are you gonna teach about the ancestral like ceremonies and our cultures? Because I know that there's quite a few out there, whether it's Hindu, African and all these other different, cultures and rituals. Are you gonna teach about those things that can help give us the true framework of our mother? Because with mother, there has so many different practices about that. So it can give us structure to understand the culture, which would fall into the rituals, the ceremonies, the festivals, and so on and so forth.
Islam. When I spoke tonight, that's exactly what I did. What you asked for is what I did tonight. And that's fine. And I thank you for that, sister. I appreciate you. I gave you a universal. The culture, it's one culture. The Galactic Cross, the 8-pointed star, is the Sumerian clay tablets. All night orders use the 8-pointed cross. The Black Panther, the Galactic Cross, the Confederate Flag, the British flag. This is the swastika. This is universal. That which you asked is what we presented. The elephant, the pine cone, the lotus flower, the uraeus, the dragon, the leviathan. I gave you explained the mitre. I explained the Holy See. We talked about the 7 Hermetic principles, or the 7 principles Tauti. So that you was given that tonight. Now we can go further. I mean, we get more foundational. I actually have my Masonic compass square, and the connection to timekeeping and measurement has more information in that. My Masonic compass square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement. Go to mooresandmasonry.org. More information in there. How her moon and Venus rule book. So I have books that go into that further, but I gave a very concise lesson. We talked about the ages and the vital importance of age. And I gave the example of when you have a new age that ushers in, there is great calamity in different parts of the world. Floods and lots of earthquakes, and with this knowledge of the ages. Every 2,152 years, the Vernal Equinox moves 30 degrees of retrogression. So just reiterating that what you got tonight, you can go anywhere in the world. Hear me out, sister, please. Anywhere in the world, and you can teach. You be teaching. South Africa, you'll be teaching. China, you go there to teach. Japan, you're going there to teach. They're not going to teach you, you're going to teach them.
Islam.
I want to be Taiwan, you're going to teach. Thailand, teach. France, Germany, Switzerland, you're going to teach. With that which I gave you tonight. So I have to reiterate the vital impact of what I gave tonight. You got it. That's what I gave tonight.
Yes.
Culture. All right.
Is-
My Masonic
Islam.
square and the connection of atomic timekeeping measurement and how her Venus rule book. Mooresandmasonry.org. All right.
Thank you. Islam.
Islam.
Peace. Can you hear me?
Yes, Islam.
Islam, this is illustrious Joaquin Bey. I want to give an example also. I want to make a statement to that. A lot of our people, like if you have a cross or things like that, you can make images and you can create your own rituals, matter of fact, that help you remember these things, to help you remember these sciences. Like if you have the swastika, they would draw them places, they will put them on shirts, you know, arts and craft, those things of those nature can help you remember these ritual or these sciences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any questions or comments?
Islam. Just had a question. So on a kind of on an individual level, prior to creating structure, how important is it to do something like a reversion of a state? How important is that? Because I hear Taj bring it up a lot, and I don't know how important is something like that on an individual level prior to creating structure. Islam.
When you're dealing with estates, you're dealing with Morocco, you're dealing with land that's in a territory that's already been settled and named by our ancient mothers and fathers as Morocco. Nations existed on the continent called Morocco, Atlantis, Turtle Island. When you're talking about estates, the resort states back to the heirs, it has to be enforced to government structure. No individual can make that claim. Because it's only based on treaty that Morocco, as the existing sovereignty, most favorable nation, make contract with foreign nations in dealing with estate law. So in order to revert the title back, it has to come from the head of the seat of government. It can't come by individual because the sovereignty of Morocco is not in one man or one man opinion or his school of thought or a woman's school of thought or opinion. It's in the collective millions of people coming together from different provinces and regions in Morocco as nations, claiming a portion of their sovereignty in a province or area or region as a provincial government and agreed to alliance with all the other nations to be protected under the existing sovereignty of Morocco. In other words, the children come back in on their mother breast. We got to go back to our mother breast, which is the land, Morocco. I hope I've been help to you.
All right, here we go. The Treaty of 1763, the treaty between Great Britain and France that ended the Pontiac War, the 7-year Pontiac War. In that treaty, Treaty of Paris of 1763, there's Article 2, look it up, Article 2 of the Treaty of Paris 1763, there's 17 treaties that's listed. In Article 2 states that these 17 treaties are the basis of this existing treaty of 1763. What I mean by that? France ceded a vast portion of our land to Great Britain. which includes Canada. Spain fought on the side of Great Britain. As a result of that, France was promised what they called the Louisiana Territory. You have these boundaries, the maps that you see, when you Google European occupational maps, France and Spain and Portugal, you see different, you see our landmass and you see France and, Spain and Portugal. Those came about through cession treaties, land cession treaties. So you have these boundaries and land cession treaties where they're portioning our land. How do you address that? Shem did it. Shem explained. Shem explained how to address that. One person can't do it. So you're talking about, as you said, as an individual level. There's no individual level. There's no individual level. I'm explaining that. So in order to address this, we must address this in government structure. And the 1783 treaty between United States and Great Britain ceded what they call the 13 colonies and what they call the Northwest Territory, what they call Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois. That's called, as a result of that treaty of 1783, Paris, between United States and Great Britain, United States Congress, or United States, that was under the Articles of Confederation, legislated the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. That's through treaty. So you're talking as an individual reversion of a state. No, it can't be done as an individual. Reversion of sovereignty as we re-enter the international community, not as a new state, but as an old and original state. Because so the individual level, 27 years I've been observing that. And where has it gotten us?
Islam.
I wanted to found some solid foundation. That's why I referenced these treaties. These are boundaries and land secession treaties. These treaties created boundaries. When Shem talked about political zones, these political zones were created through those treaties. All right, I'll rest on that.
Thank you.
There's a message in the chat.
Message in the chat. We have a message in the chat.
Yes, that's a message in the chat. It was private. I think he may have meant to send it to everyone. By Brother Terrence L. Bay. He said, "Hi, Tamara. I noticed that the moon in the United Republic of Morocco seal is in a waning position. Would that be correct?" Yes, that is correct, because that seal has not been approved by the various Moorish provincial body politics to be the seal of the central grand government. So while we're in a subjugated position, the waning position represents a position of, not a full strength. So we are not in a position of strength as we are moving to. That's the rhythm. As we continue to vibrate in the flow of restoration, unity, and in the event the Moorish provincial body politics and its central parliament accept the seal as its original motion, that seal will flip to the waxing position of strength. That means that we are unified. So yes, that's why it's in that position.
Well, thank you.
Next question. Islam. Questions, y'all. Questions. Come on, caucus members. Come on now.
Okay. This is Picola. Cusario.
All right, caucus member. All right.
Yes. Yes, I just wanted to add into a comment that the brother made pertaining to the revision of estate, and just give you a glimpse of what's in the atmosphere, if you will, around different states and amongst Moorish groups. So there's an individual approach, so they believe, of revision of estates pertaining to property which your ancestor actually had his name or her name on prior to the timeline of 1920. And some of the old they weren't deeds, some of the old allodial land deeds, or allodial, I don't know what the other name is, but for the most part, those documents would read the name of your ancestor, and it would say heirs and assigned forever. So some of the Moors are going back, looking at 1933 and even further back, when those properties were purchased with real money. So it's a combination of things that they're looking at, is purchasing of the land with money. Number two, a prior blood ancestor had the land, maybe lost the land, and then they're going back and challenging the jurisdiction and persona jurisdiction also of the people who are currently on that land. So I'm not sure if that's kind of what the brother was talking about, revision of estate, because at least this is what I've heard that people are doing. And just to add it in, and I'll be very brief, there's a sister by the name of Unpack Chief Genesee out of Alabama. She's doing that. She's been talking of it. She's been pushing the various viewers to seek ancestral land. So it's not like random getting buildings and so forth. Some people here in the New York territory, they've done some steps of that as well, which is like challenging abandoned buildings and so forth. And so I think it may be a combination of things happening where it's almost in the air of, hey, let's get that building, let's get this building randomly. So anyway, I yield on that. I just want to add Camelback onto what the brother might have been alluding to.
Answer that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to stay and show you that the reason why we're coming back to our motherland in our minds, we already here. We're coming back to our motherland in our minds so we can be nourished and protected by the principles, by the traditions, ceremonies, festivals, customs, and riots that was already pre-existing, formerly operating, doing by our ancient ancestors and mothers and fathers. Now, I'm going to use the British subjects. When they rose up against the crown and fled, they fled into a sovereign nation, the Lenape Moors. In order, under that confederacy, they could hold no title, no political jurisdictional title to the land of the Lenape Moors, because they was under amnesty and asylum, being fed, they were being guarded, taken care of, protected. The Lenape Moors was their protector and their friend. In order to get any colorable title rights to the jurisdictional land occupying territory that was ceded by the Moors to the crowns, they had to go back to their motherland. Who's their motherland? The ruling crown, the head of state of their motherland. They went back and entered into a treaty with England, Great Britain. Why? That's the motherland. They got permission to get a colorable title as a lease, a tenant, ceded jurisdiction to operate as a lessee. Now, they operated the Bar Association as a statutory crown. But you see, in order to revert rights back, you have to go to your mother. See, England, Great Britain, that's the motherland. But the crown is the head of that. So they have to go back to the crown and enter into an agreement. They say peace. That was a form of surrender because they wasn't demanding anything in that treaty. Professor Abdullah, you read it. See, I can surrender under a peace term. The United States was just an infant. The letter to Washington to the Emperor of Morocco said, we are an infant nation. What do an infant do? Suck on his mother's breast. They went back to England, Great Britain, to go back on the breast of the motherland to get certain century rights to occupy, to have title. Be title to erections. That means anything that they build on the land, that is their political jurisdiction. Well, Professor, you can add to that.
All right, further, the cession treaties, the 1783 treaty is a title. It's under an occupational title. Land cession treaties are titles, not allodial titles, as we are the heirs. Occupational land cession treaty titles. These treaties, how do we challenge this, Abdullah? Our national unity. They've portioned off our land through these secession titles, Spain and Portugal and France. As I said before, in the 1763 treaty, there's 17 articles. We're looking to address this on a massive scale. Please hear me, please. Please hear me. Nationalized Moors, my observation for 27 years, only deal with nationalized Moors. We got to get out of that. I heard that back about 25 years ago, I was told that nationalized Moors cannot address the issues of Moors classified as black, nigger, colored. That always bothered me. That always bothered me that I could not speak for my brothers who are and sisters who are unconscious. That bothered me. I never agreed with that. I never bowed down to that. I never submitted my mind to that. And I will never submit my mind to that. Hear me out, nationalized and conscious Moors. We must, as we facilitate a central gang governing body, in dealing with the issue of reversion to sovereignty, re-entering the international community as an old and original state to address the mass denationalization of our people, the mass colonization of our land, genocide of all our people, not just conscious Moors. We're not standing up here just addressing, preparing to suggest issues for conscious Moors. Our brother asked me, Abdullah, I seen you and Taj on YouTube. He said, man, he said, will you work with me? He said, I, have a mission. I deal with Moors in prison. I said, hold on, brother. Hold on. Now, before I agree to work with you, you said Moors in prison. What, please define for me, what for you, what does Moor mean to you? You know, conscious Moors. Brother, I can't work with you. I did not work with him. Why? Why did I not work with the brother? Because he said conscious Moors. He said he only works with conscious Moors in a prison. On that basis, I refuse, listen to me, I refuse to work with him. when Taj and I in 1995, I put out my newsletter, my Moorish civil letter, in 1995. My Moorish civil letter, I got over 200 letters from brothers in Midwest, prisoners in the Midwest, and South and Western Pennsylvania, over 200 letters. We sent books, lesson book number 1, lesson book number 2. When we put out the Al Moroccan Star newspaper in 2001, we sent papers. These brothers established civic classes, not just for conscious Moors. I will refuse to work with anybody who says only conscious and nationalized Moors. Once I hear the word only, I will not work with you. That's the problem with conscious Moors. That's the problem. Next
Okay.
question.
Before we close out, we just want to get back to the topic of the land. Okay, the topic of the land. Let's go back to what we talked about earlier, constitutional framework. And as I love this Constitution so much, the Haudenosaunee, known as the Iroquois Confederate Constitution, Wampum 73 states, the soil of the earth from one end of the land to the other is the property of the people who inhabit it. By birthright, the Hungwe, which means the ritual beings, are the owners of the soil which they own and occupy, and none other may hold it. The same law has been held from the oldest time. The great creator, now this is the maximum law. The great creator has made us of the one blood and of the same soul, who made us, and as only different tongues constitute different nations. He established different hunting grounds and territories and made boundary lines between them. Now, I say all that to say, now there's a covenant of which foreign nations, which is a political jurisdiction, must adhere to. And they have what you call, what they go by the Bible, the Heliobiblios text, which is a covenant. And within that covenant, it dictates that we're going to bring this all the way back up to treaties. We're going to round this around. In Deuteronomy 19:14, it states, do not move your neighbor's boundary stone set up by your predecessors in the inheritance you receive in the land the Lord your God is giving you to possess. Which means they know the land, it's not theirs to take. They know the land is not theirs to inherit. They know the land is not there to move the boundaries, but they can put a fake boundary marker on top, and that boundary marker is in our mind. So until we get that boundary marker out of our mind, we can go back. Our liberation is back into our culture, our traditions, our ceremony, our festivals, our customs, and our writs. So that's the reversion of your estate. I yield the floor, and it brings you back to what Abdullah talked about with the treaty. So all this goes back to ancient old, bring it all the way up to the treaty protection, because they can't have the treaties without the ancient science and the knowledge of what already been settled. So Islam, I yield the floor on that. And we have one last question before we close out.
Well said.
From Tragan. I'm not gonna butcher your name. I'm gonna lower your hand.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me acknowledge you for all you do for us. Brother Abdullah, Brother Shem, thank you for an outstanding presentation tonight. My question is rather a supplementary question from the previous questions that you were addressing earlier with regard to language as we try to formulate our global, I would say, umbrella of a nation coming together from a, I would say, federal not federal, I would say national coming together. What would be in the near future, or maybe in the far or distant future, what would be the national language or the official language by which all of those nations that are coming together will be using to facilitate conversations across the globe? Have we had any plan at all as part of a national coming together of a national language, official language by which we will be communicating? Will that be one singular language or multiple languages? I yield. And I am Elio Bohikyo Chugan from the Rising Arawak Nation, as well as the Moorish Rose Study Group.
I'm gonna read it again.
Yeah, that's right. I about to say what I about to say. I said, read that about the nations, foreign nations. Read that.
It said the great creator has made us of the one blood and of the same soil. He made us, she made us. And there's only different tongues. Tongues rest within the language.
There you go.
And only different tongues constitute the different nations. She established different hunting grounds and territories and made boundary lines between them. So that will be our only difference. It's just our tongue, but we're all of the same blood in the same soil, Islam.
Noble Tamara, you read me and Professor Abdullah Mahon, because I was just about to say, Tamara, get the Iroquois Constitution.
Is it on?
Yes,
Not
it's
on.
on. Yes, it's on. Yes.
It's not on.
Yes, it is on. It's on. It's on.
It's
Can you
on.
hear me?
All right.
Okay, that's the end of questions, right? Okay, Professor
I'll close
Abdullah is
out.
going to close us out. Thank you for the time. Shalom.
Islam, everyone. So once again, this coming Saturday, it's that in 4 days, the Sojourners course this Saturday at 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Now, your links to the login link will be sent Thursday and Friday to those who already registered for the course. I'll check your spam, your inbox. All right, Thursday and Friday for those who are registered for the course. Now, those who have not registered for the 12 weeks of George course, you go to UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence. About the course, once again, the 12 weeks of George course is designed to teach the principles of how Moorish treaties benefit the Moors as creditors and protect them from being debtors of a foreign power. Further, students will be taught how Moorish treaties are enforced through government structure. In addition to treaty and government study, students will learn how to structure, file, and serve cases, write writs, answers, affirmative defenses, reconsideration, and memorandum of law. Yours truly, Abdullah El Timosi Bey and Shem Malachi Bey, being instructors. So classes will run from April 17th through July 3rd every Saturday. Now, if you cannot make Saturdays, the classes are recorded and uploaded to the OneNote. All right. So you say, well, man, I may not be able to make all the Saturdays. That's fine. Once again, the classes are recorded. This is what I love about it. All right. So we see you this Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again.
Islam, bro.
Islam.
And we'll see you also next Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Islam.
All right, Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Thank you.
Gratitude.
Thank you.
Yes.
Gratitude.
Much
Islam.
love, peace, and love.